on the road in the Missouri Valley with head coach Cindy Stein from Southern Illinois, number one in the Valley right now in first place. Cindy, how does that sound?
It sounds fantastic, but as a coach, you're always worried about the next ones, right? So we're hanging on by a thread.
Well, I don't know about hanging on by a thread, but the next one, since you brought it up, is a great transition to Missouri State. You know them so well. They've been the team that has actually won the Valley the last several years, a lot of years actually. But you are right now the only team at 6-1 in the league. What is it going to take to get a win this weekend?
Well, I
Two
think,
wins.
we play them twice in 3 days, and we've got to be ready. I mean, obviously, finding ways to score, finding different ways to score. They're a great defensive team, a great rebounding team. You got to keep them off the boards. I mean, there's just you've got to play as close to perfect as you can to beat Missouri State.
Well, one of the things that you have going for you is the incredible maturity and development of Mackenzie Sylvie and Abby Brockmeyer. Those two kids are amazing to me. I mean, I love watching them because they play so hard. Where have you seen the greatest development in their games?
Well, I've seen them just grow as a group, honestly. Those three used to play horrible together. So I tell everybody all the time. It's like they don't believe me because it's just like they really didn't have a good feel, and they've just learned how to play with each other. They understand each other's strengths and weaknesses, and they help each other out. And, our other players are obviously doing a lot of things to make sure that they're giving them the ball where they're going to be the most successful. But their communication, just, some of the stuff that they do on the floor is very natural. And that's just, we're giving them a lot of time, obviously, to play together, and because they play so well together now.
So I'm sure Abby celebrates the fact that Mackenzie is the all-time leading scorer, because they just seem like they go together sort of like peanut butter and jelly to me. I mean, they just blend. What has Mackenzie done from her freshman year to this point to be able to be the kind of offensive player that you needed her to be?
Well, Mackenzie's put in a lot of hard work on figuring out how to score and the different layers. She's now getting to the basket. She's getting to the foul line. I know I harped on her all last year. I'm like, you are like a 90% free throw shooter, but you don't shoot any. So, you got to find ways to get to the line. She's doing that. She's got a really good pull-up jumper now. I think she started out just as a straight up 3-point shooter, and she's just found all the different layers. Plus, she's such a great passer. She doesn't always get as much attention about her passing, but she's an excellent passer and can thread the needle.
I always remark about the Missouri Valley being a great coaches league. I think the teams are good, the product is outstanding, and the coaching is exceptional. What is your take on it from your perspective?
Well, obviously, I agree with you. I think that, the two new coaches this year at Indiana State and Evansville, doing tremendous things. Those guys, that's not easy games. You can't take anything for granted from anybody in the conference. Mary at Valparaiso brings a very unique style, and that's very hard to guard, and great shooters. And, you always have the Drakes and the UNIs and the Missouri States and Illinois States. So it's, everybody is just very, very talented, and everybody works their butt off, and you got to be ready. You cannot take a game off.
Cindy, it's kind of fun to watch you go through this final year, watching your retirement at the beginning of the season. And we know what you've given to the game and how much you've enjoyed every stop that you've been at, and how much you've contributed and helped, make the places better before you left. And so, when you go back to your JUCO All-American days and you look at what you've done and your service to the game, I know you're going to say you haven't had time to reflect because you want it to be about the kids. And I've heard you say that 100 times, but I know that you have taken some time to think about what this means to be able to have the season that you're having at this particular time.
Well, obviously, allowing your players to be players and students, I think, is huge. And I think that's your greatest reward as a coach. I didn't get into this business because of the pay. I think my first job was $13,000. I got it because I love the kids. I know what the coaches did for me when I was growing up, making me accountable and integrity and all character and all that stuff. And I wanted to obviously try to do the same thing. And, but I also am a coach that likes to give some players some freedom too, right? I give people second chances. Those are just things that I've learned throughout my life. And I want to be able to be that kind of coach as well. And obviously I want to finish strong.
I'm thinking about second chances, and I'm wondering how many times you got a second chance for some of your off the court activities.
Well, I would tell you I got a lot of second chances. So, I was a little hyper kid. So I got a lot of second chances from coaches, and those coaches made me a better person every time that I deal with them. I still deal with some of my former coaches, and they're awesome to have around as great mentors.
When you're a player, sometimes you don't always realize what your coach is actually trying to help you with, so that when you mature and grow up in 20 years from now, you look back and you go, wow, what an incredible experience I had playing for so-and-so. In your case, Cindy Stein. Your players that played for you 20 plus years ago, I know that you have heard from some of them. You must have heard from some of them during this final year. What are some of the things that you're getting them or they're giving you in terms of messaging from their experience?
Yeah, I've heard from a lot of different people, and it's great to hear from them because, when you're coaching, you don't have any other life, right? So it's sometimes so hard to get to stay in touch with everybody. But, it's been nice. I mean, I hear a lot of stories of things that I suspected and that they actually did do. So those are some funny stories. I'm glad I didn't know them at the time. But just a lot of people that, that I actually push really hard. And it's funny, some of the kids that, and they're not kids anymore, they have kids of their own, that I've probably pushed the hardest are the ones that probably give me the most thanks, for doing this and helping me and those type of things. And that means a lot.
I don't think the statute of limitations ever runs out on the player-coach relationship. Like, there's just some things that you just don't ever want your coach to know, right?
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay, so I want to shift it now to talking about teammates, because I've not had this conversation with any of the other coaches in the league. And you and I go way back, so we've been friends for a long time. And I know some of your teammates, and I know what they mean to you. I know the value of that relationship that you build in college, and you carry it forward even to now, 30 plus years or, since we played. When you think about being a good teammate and what values you got from being a good teammate years ago that you try to teach to your kids right now, what would those be?
Well, I think the biggest one is to accept people for who they are and not try to make people who you want them to be, and have that kind of limitations on them. I just think that gets you in a lot of trouble as a teammate. I've always had great teammates that have accepted me for who I am, whether, I was very, very competitive on the court. Obviously, I like to laugh a lot. So sometimes they were trying to make me laugh on the court and I wasn't having anything of it, but they learned how to play with me because of that too. And same thing, vice versa. I had to make them sometimes more serious. So those are some of the things that just the competition, that you, I remember, one of my best friends, Michelle Vossen, her and I going head to head at Illinois. We both wanted to play the point guard position and they had to separate us on a lot of occasions, but we were also best friends. But it's like you can be best friends and still challenge each other. And I think that was the biggest thing that I learned as a player. And sometimes it was hard, but it meant more that we could always go back and be friends.
Well, I can't thank you enough for how much you've impacted my career, how much you've helped me learn, how much you've kept me straight, and how much you've really poured into so many other people like me around the game. So I'm so glad that you took the time to be with us here, and I'm so grateful that you're having a great year.
Well, I appreciate you, Debbie, and everything that you do for the Valley. You're helping us obviously market our great brand that we have in the Missouri Valley Conference.
Keep it rolling, Cindy. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Debbie.